What would you like to tell the President of the United States as he continues to go after your city?
I would like to tell him stop tweeting. No president in the modern history of the office of the president have done any childish behavior like this president has exhibited. And if he really wants to, he needs to send us the federal assistance, not only to Baltimore, to cities around this country that are in the same situation that Baltimore is in, but he's so interested in childish tweets. I mean, you know, he's the most powerful man on the face of the earth as president of the United States of America. And this is below a president to do these kind of things. He should be uniting this country instead of racially dividing us. I mean, a president have never in my lifetime exhibit this type of behavior. He has alienated our allies around the country. I mean, what else is he going to do?
So that was Baltimore Mayor Bernard Young talking about Donald Trump's recent attacks on Twitter against Representative Elijah Cummings, as well as the city of Baltimore. Now here's the thing, right? So now you heard what he said. President should just stop tweeting. Oh, look, I understand the sentiment, right? But the tweets are only a part of the problem. The other big problem is Donald Trump being in office. Again, he is a man-child. He doesn't care about the plight of cities across the country. In fact, I think he would pull funding from these cities in order to punish them if he could. As he certainly has threatened to do so plenty of times before. But this is who we're dealing with, right? And you want to talk about divisiveness, right? No, they're right when they point out that President Trump is divisive, and yet Republicans say, oh, no, it wasn't, it's not Trump that's being divisive, not at all. No, it was Obama. Now, what's one thing that President Obama had done to be divisive? Oh, right, get elected while black. That was enough to, of course, turn, a lot of these now Trump supporters into just frothing, raving lunatics. I mean, they came up with every conceivable insane conspiracy theory, including the fact the idea that that President Obama was not born in America, and it was Donald Trump who would go on television and talk about it all the time. Oh, don't worry, I've got people in Hawaii investigating. I get the best investigative team looking for the birth certificate. So you want to talk about divisive? But look, again, this is who we're dealing with, right? Now, I want to get to another piece of that interview where it was asked if Trump had even offered to help with some of the issues in Baltimore. Because again, he says, why doesn't a Representative Elijah Cummings go back to Baltimore? That sounds eerily close to what he was saying for the squad, right? Except instead of go back to Baltimore, which is crime-ridden and rat-infested, whatever, he just told these women of color, one was a Latina, one was from Somalia, to go back to their own countries, when in reality, of course, America is their country. 3 of them were born here. 1 was a naturalized citizen. Boy, that is the same attack, except instead of go back to your country, it's go back to your city. But anyway, I want to go to the part of the interview where, and this is CNN's John Berman, asked if Trump even offered help with some of those conditions, considering how he is, of course, the President of the United States. Let's take a look at his response.
No, he has never reached out. And he had a pledge that he was going to do infrastructure. We're still waiting on that. We have an aging infrastructure in the city of Baltimore with an unfunded mandate by the EPA for us to correct it. And we have to constantly raise water rates on the poor people of the city of Baltimore. We're a poor city. Do we have, problems? Yeah. We have problems with crime and everything else, just like any other major city. Just like the city that his person, Mitch McConnell, represents, have these problems.
Do you think that these attacks are even really about your city or about something else?
I think it's about dividing this country. If you look, he attacked 4 minority women and didn't even do the research to find out that 3 of them were born here, and 1 is a naturalized citizen now. And then he attacked one of the most powerful congressmen in the country, in Elijah Cummings, who have represented Baltimore well. I mean, here's a pattern now of attacking people of color. I mean, if you want to help us, help us. Don't talk about us. Send the resources that we need to rebuild America. He's talking about he want to make America great again. Then put the money in the cities that need it the most. And that way you can make America great again. But what he's doing is he's making America the laughing stock of the world. Our allies, he has alienated our allies. I mean, come on, no president have ever done anything like that. Our country's in turmoil under his leadership.
Again, there's not a lot there that isn't true. So let me add onto it and just say that it's not about making America great again. No, it's about making America great for white, wealthy conservatives. That's what his whole administration is about. I mean, whatever helps Donald Trump specifically, right? That is what the focus of this administration has been on. Lowering taxes, reducing regulation, attacking his political enemies. The whole idea of getting rid of the ACA, right, or otherwise known as Obamacare, is because when the ACA was put into place, and not a lot of people know this, but in order to fund it, there was a very progressive taxation system put into place. So I don't remember the figures. I think it was somewhere around $7 million over 10 years is how much it cost people who are on the top end of the economic spectrum. So you repeal the ACA, and these wealthy people save a lot of money. And so that was the main impetus behind getting rid of the ACA. Plus, it just worked well politically with the Republican base who hates healthcare. And speaking of Kentucky, by the way, so it's kind of an ironic thing is that, and I'll keep going back to this because it's both sad and hilarious at the same time. You have people there who benefited from the ACA, the state-run exchange called Connect. Now, when you ask people, because reporters have, they went down there and they asked, okay, how do you like Connect? Oh, I love it. Oh, it's great. I actually can get more affordable health insurance than I could before. Now, that doesn't mean insurance is affordable. Of course, we still have that problem. Millions of Americans cannot afford good insurance. Many of them are underinsured, et cetera. But that's the problems with the ACA, and we've talked about that plenty of times. But again, they ask about Connect, right? They love Connect, but when they say, well, what do you think about Obamacare? Hate it. Socialism. I despise it. Well, that kind of tells you everything you need to know about the Republican base, right? But look, as I said, the things that the administration was really focused on doing is things that help Donald Trump and his class. Lowering taxes, reducing regulation, etc. And of course, again, defending himself against political enemies, right? Now, a couple of things. There was criminal justice reform that was mainly spearheaded by Jared Kushner. That was actually not a bad thing. And he gets credit for that. Kushner does. But you also can't help but wonder if everything they do basically has one motive and one motive only, to benefit Donald Trump and his family. Whether politically, legally, or financially, there's no benefit to himself or his buddies, well, then the administration basically ignores it. And so I love how these officials, by the way, come back and say, but wait a minute, Donald Trump, you promised to come and help our community. Yeah, but Donald Trump's promises aren't worth anything. They're about as, I guess, fully fleshed out. Actually, no, you know what? I was going to make a terrible comparison. Let's just say that they're not worth anything, right? If they were written down, they're not worth the paper that it's written on. So, and as far as Donald Trump promising something, again, this is somebody who lies constantly to your face every single day. This is who Donald Trump really is. These attacks, they're not outliers, right? These attacks are exactly who Donald Trump and unfortunately, most of his ardent followers who voted for him, they love these attacks, and that's kind of who they are, right? That's why they voted for Donald Trump because they saw this guy and they said, finally, there's a man who hates who I hate, and he's not afraid to say it. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.